Hey everybody! Welcome to the World Wide Web Valley Film Festival. I'm David Garry, and I am an alumni filmmaker. And the last film that I had at the Valley Film Festival was in 2017, and it was a short documentary about the fans of James Dean. And today I'm very, very lucky to have a filmmaker who is presenting at the Valley Film Festival 2021. Please introduce yourself. Tell me your name, your film, and your role with it.
So, hi everyone, and thank you for having me here today, David. I'm very much excited for the film festival coming up. My film is Dr. Penelope, and my name is Annika Hylmö. I am the writer, director, and producer, one of the producers on the project.
Oh, great. Good, good. I was able to catch an early preview of the film, so I loved it. And I wanted to see if you could do a little pitch out there for anyone who doesn't know about the film, um, and tell them a little bit about it and about their experience in going to see it.
So Dr. Penelope is a story about a woman who is just finishing up her degree in psychology, and she is procrastinating, like I think a lot of us can relate to. And she's coming out of a dark period where she's been hiding away from the world, and now she needs to re-enter the world, but she doesn't quite know how, until she finds an unexpected mentor in her mother's psychic puppet who insists on bringing her out of her shell and into the real world. And that's, in a sense, the nutshell of what the story is about. It's kind of a dark comedy. And I think it has a lot to say about where we are at right now in the world, where we've all been isolating in various ways. Some of us are still isolating in various ways, and we're still trying to figure out how to reconnect with one another and how to join forces to have community. And that's a big part of what this story is about. It's how to build community with different kinds of people, with diverse kinds of people, and how to accept one another, how to have family, how to have community, and to do that with lots of love and friendship.
Very cool. Thank you. So tell us about what was the starting point of inspiration for it? What kicked it
The
off in your
starting,
brain?
what kicked it off for me, many years ago was I was working up at AFI, the American Film Institute. And while I was there, I was doing my own writing as well. So I was working there and writing. And I was at a place where I was completely stuck writing my features that are big projects. And someone suggested that I write a comedy. And so I ended up writing a short comedy because I was privy to all of these amazing short films that are being made up there by so many filmmakers. And I developed it from there. So that's one of the origins of it. That's how it started. And the inspiration for it really comes from many, many places. I went through that process of finishing my PhD once upon a time. I've been through that darkness before the light period. And I think it's something that I also feel like many of us can relate to, because we've all had these big projects. Like, when's it going to end? When's it going to end? When am I going to get finished? How am I going to get through this? And I have no idea what to do, and being stuck. So the impetus came from there. The impetus came from I've always been a sort of spiritual person, just drawing from all modalities, having a sense of both the supernatural and the natural and the connectedness of the everything and all those crazy things. So that's
Nice.
definitely a part of it, right? And the puppet came in part based on inspiration. I had a friend who was very much into puppets at the time, and I also kept having an image of doing something much darker with marionettes during carnival, or during carnival or something similar somewhere around the world. And so all of these sources of inspiration came together, as well as working with some magnificent people in the industry who were there pushing me on, challenging me, and really encouraging me to go forth with it. So including one of my best friends, very dear friend and mentor, Thomas Rickman, who some people may know as the writer of Coal Miner's Daughter and a whole number of other wonderful projects. So having that inspiration and having somebody who really believes in the project alongside with me, as well as, like I said, numerous other people. Patty Meyer, dear friend of mine who teaches screenwriting, just a lot of people who were there to inspire along the way. And hence we have Dr. Penelope, who also became an inspiration out of her own, because characters started to take on their own voices, and she definitely had one and told the story.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. Thank you for fleshing that out. That's really awesome how you came to it. What do you want an audience to take away from the film, or how have the audiences been reacting?
It's been inspiring to hear people react to this story. What surprised me the most has been how much the mental health community has responded to it, which I had not expected, but it sort of makes sense after the fact. I think that in terms of taking things away from it, just the sense that we have community, we have possibility. If we care about each other, if we're willing to listen to each other, that's something that I think everybody should take away from it. I also feel like we need to listen a lot more to our intuition, and not just to everything that people are telling us to do when people are saying that this is the way that things should be. So I'd say that would be a second thing to take away from it, is listen to your intuition. And the third thing is to stay connected with people, no matter if they're here in the present, that we're part of our past, if they're going to be part of our world in the future, but to remember family that's been, and family that are staying with us, and our family of the future. So several things, and really, yeah, chop.
Cool. No, that's so great. All of the messages that you have with that, and I got that definitely from watching it. What's a hurdle or a challenge that you had during filming that you can say, you know what, I'm proud for overcoming that, and how you overcame it? What would that be?
I think something that all filmmakers can relate to is funding. And that was a really big hurdle to overcome. And to see that funding, I think a learning part of that for me was that funding isn't just about getting the money for the project, but it's also building a community around the project and building that audience. And that is very much the biggest part of fundraising. It's not the money itself, but that is the biggest part, is you're building a community around the project and around you as a filmmaker. And that was something that I had to overcome, because I hadn't funded my own project before. And this time I had to step up and say, please invest in me, invest in my project, and I will make you a filmmaker along with me, because you're part of the community of filmmakers that is making this project together. So I would say that would be the biggest hurdle for me.
Good. Well, congratulations for overcoming that and having a fully fleshed out film. That's awesome. Do you have any behind the scenes stories from the set that you can share?
Oh, behind the scenes stories, but you mean apart from the temper tantrums from a puppet? Because we had those all the
time. Tell me about that. Who was that? Why?
So when you're working with a puppet, puppets have their own sense of being and their own way of doing things. They don't always want to cooperate. And that actually started with when we went to Panasonic once early on, or Panavision. So we went to Panavision early on to do a screen test with some of their cameras. And the funny thing then that I realized, and when I say that they throw temper tantrums, I kind of mean it, because we had a puppet initially that was kind of an over-the-counter type of puppet. And she took over every single shot because she would glow in each scene. The lighting just caught on, bounced off of that puppet the entire time. So it wasn't until I was able to push that puppet aside and say, let's have a puppet that's specific to this movie, that we were able to create the movie that we've got. And from there on, I would say Dr. Penelope kept on stealing scene after scene after scene. And we had to challenge her a little bit to pull back a bit because it's not her story. Surprise.
Very cool. Thank you. Do you have any advice for filmmakers? Any takeaways from the process of this film?
I would say, so advice for filmmakers. Don't be afraid to do it, to make your film. I think that's one point. But another one is to make sure that you've really polished your script before you're making it so that you're ready to go, you're ready to tell your story, you really know your story. And then to collaborate. Because filmmaking, I think the magic of filmmaking really is there are so many people coming together to do it. It's not just your filmmaker as the one person, but there are tens and 20s, hundreds of people that are part of getting the project from where you started to where it is now. And I feel like that's the piece of advice that's almost the most important, is to recognize support that you have from above and below the line people and getting your project made at the very end. And so I want to give a big shout out to all my cast and crew, because without them, this project would be nowhere, and nor would it be if it hadn't been for all the people that supported along the way.
Good. Yeah, I agree. It takes a village to make it happen. So what's next for you?
So I have another project that I'm making this coming spring. It's a little bit different. It's also a short. I call it my post-COVID short. I needed something to get to work on. And it's a story about an ER nurse who loses her job and finds companionship with a racehorse that also lost its job. And the two of them have to come together to find new purpose and meaning. And they do so through horse therapy.
Very cool. Wow. I will look forward to seeing that. That sounds very cool.
Thank you.
Anything else for the good of the cause?
For the good of the cause, let's keep making movies. I think that's really the good of the cause. Let's keep making movies. Let's keep making good stories. Let's make them diverse in terms of above and below the camera, and let's make them diverse in terms of the kinds of stories that we're telling as well. So let's get out there and just tell good stories.
Perfect. Thank you, Annika. Thank you for joining us. And then the screening details for Dr. Penelope are below. So make sure to check it out at Valley Film Festival 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, David.